of Karen's passing, and I want to make a motion to do so.
I will second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. At 8:46, we're going to stop this meeting for a moment of silence to remember all those who died on that day, September 11, 2001. Okay, and for the TV show, Bill, I'm going to ask that you read our mission statement.
Just this, yes. Just the statement.
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Bill.
This is the mission statement of the Danvers Electric Division. Danvers Electric is committed to providing high-quality, reliable, and affordable electricity and other related services to its customers. We strive for operational and customer service excellence through the efforts of town officials and our dedicated employees.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
And just so everybody knows who everybody is here, my name is Stan Svensson, I'm the chairman. This is Bill Hayes. And Mark, if you could maybe just pan around everyone in the room maybe so,
I can do that.
okay. This would be our director, David Lane, Danvers Electric Director. Business Director, Peter Kapusik. Power Procurement, Charles Underhill. Secretary and everything for Danvers Electric, Stephanie Doherty. And Engineering Director, Mark Piccarini. Okay, now that the introductions are done, I want to move right along with the meeting. It's a lengthy agenda today. First order of business on the agenda is to accept the minutes from the June 26th meeting. Oh,
I move that we accept the minutes as submitted.
okay, and I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. One other, is there anyone from the public who has any comments? Would like to bring something to our attention?
I do.
Please be brief.
I'm always brief, to the point. I would like to thank the Municipal Light Board for presenting this program, because I think it's an important program for the public in Danvers. And I would ask that if you speak loudly, you be heard better on the film. One thing that I would like to address is we have had a very hot summer. And there's been very, very few outages. So I think the residents appreciate it, and I appreciate it, because I've only had to reset my clocks twice, I think, this summer. So that's a good thing.
And I can note that those were specific to National Grid. I can note that those two incidents were specific to National Grid last week, where they had a couple
Right.
operations on their system, so.
So that's a job well done, so thank you. The other thing is, I would like to address the funding for the Summer Street intersection, as I've always have. This morning, it took me a half an hour to get from 95 to here because of the traffic mess that has been happening there all along for the last 2 months, probably. It appears like the work that's being done is not related to the traffic signals that we have promised to St. John's Prep. However, there's been an awful lot of underground work, basically for drainage, for sewerage lines, and for relocations of additional utilities that are underground that are not related to the intersection redesign. Basically, that's a street division activity, and that should be funded by the street division. The only other thing that I have is that I would like to present this to the general public, and that'll be shown probably within the next week or so. Thank you.
All right.
Brief
Thank you.
enough?
Okay, next item on the agenda, the financials. Peter?
Mr. Chairman, we have the July 2018 financials in front of us this morning. As we normally do, I'll start with the revenues. The revenues are down from last year, and as the board may remember, we lowered the purchase power fuel adjustment last year, and in general, that's why that is down. In anticipation, in doing that, our power costs are down 5.5%, so knowing that our power costs were going to be down, we lowered the purchase power fuel adjustment, which has caused our revenues to be down. So that was part of the plan and is as we anticipated. In general, we come down to the second part of the sheet, our revenues are down a little less, taking into account that we, bill different things for jobs and stuff, and that brings it up a little bit. So anyway, things are going as expected. Those other type of jobs, we can't really plan. It depends upon traffic accidents and such like that. If we go down to the bottom of the second page, our net income, we're a little bit lower than last year, but again, that's part of the plan that we expect to happen in anticipation because we've lowered our purchase power and fuel adjustments. If I take out our power costs from our expenses are up in general about 7%. However, last year, we had an issue with account 163, which is about 5 up from the bottom on page 2. And we can see the account 163 stores expense, and last year at this point in time, we had a negative number. That was created there because we had a problem with the way we book something in inventory. It had to do with wire, and instead of putting it in as circuit feet wire, we put it in as linear feet wire, and the way we made the adjustment created what appears to be a negative expense or a credit. That was actually inaccurate. We had to adjust that, and we've actually redone our processes based on what we found last year. So the number 117,000 in account 163 is actually what we would expect. That's the materials manager's position and the stock clerk's position are charged there, along with other things that happen down in the stock room. But the 117 number is accurate, and therefore, because we made a mistake last year, it appears like our expenses are higher this year than last year, and that's was really just an anomaly that we fixed. If we go to a balance sheet, but the income is looking good. We're still healthy. We expect it to fall. It's falling within the plan, and at this point, we believe that we will have a profit through the end of the year. Now on to page 4, the balance sheet. If we get down to the bottom of the page, account 131, we can see that our cash balance at this point in time is $3.6 million as opposed to the negative $1 million we had last year. And as the board may remember, we had a much anticipated expectation last year that we were going to get the $3.4 million flush of funds payment, and that brought our cash balance, our operating cash balance, back to positive as we had planned for a long time. So at this point in time, we have enough cash to run everything that we need to do, and if anything comes up, we will be able to fund it. Again, as the board may remember from last year, when Substation 42 had a problem, we were able to make decisions that needed to be made and not worry about where we were going to get the money. If we go on to page 5, the other thing that I always like to point out is the liabilities of the division. And if we take the pension benefits liability and the bonds, we have $16 million worth of liabilities. But again, we are in a position where we have enough assets on hand to cover that liability. So at this point, Mr. Chairman, through July, we feel like we're on plan. We have a profit.
Okay, I'm gonna ask right now that we stop for 1 minute and take a moment of silence for all those victims of 9/11. Okay, let's continue.
So at this point in time, Mr. Chairman, we are profitable, we are liquid, we're in good shape, and we're on plan as we expected this year.
Okay. Any questions, Bill?
Yeah, I had one question. Peter, on page 4, item account 373, street lighting. That shows, let's see, up, right? And I was wondering about that, because with the LED lights, I would have expected that to be down. Or does this include the cost of changing the
Correct.
street light? Okay. Where would the, oh, this is the balance sheet. Would it show on the expenses for?
Well, those are gonna be capital item.
Yeah, that's a capital item.
So-
Where's the lighting expense?
But the addition of the new LED lights to the division's financial statements would in fact go under capital project, and they would in fact increase the value of the street lighting assets.
Yep, I understand that. My question is, do we show a reduction in the electricity used by street lighting?
We don't charge ourselves for electricity,
Okay.
so you wouldn't see that here.
That's
We're
not
in
a town.
in the town's operation, where we would see that would be the Department of Public Works expense. We charge the tax-supported side of the Department of Public Works for those streetlights, and
Okay.
that's where we would see the reduction in expense.
Okay.
On our part, if we were to look at it, we would see on page 444,
Oh.
at the top of the page, municipal sales.
Yep.
Our sales will go down because of the decreased cost to our customer, the town of Danvers Department of Public Works.
Okay, and I see that. It's about 91% of last year. Okay, thank you.
Okay, with that, I'll make a
Can I ask a question, please?
briefly.
Briefly, is the public permitted to get a copy of that report? And the second question is, what is the actual cash balance that is being held by the electric company in cash? Reserves, basically.
You've been given that report before, haven't you?
Every so often.
Oh, okay. All right, motion to accept the financials,
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Chuck, power purchase?
You have the report for the month of August. We are recommending that we hold the course on the purchase power fuel adjustment charge. We have had a couple of events that were not anticipated in the budget. One, footprint was delayed in starting, and we have paid some additional congestion charges that currently shows as an impact of financial cost to the town. We are pursuing remedies to that through ISO and through the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC. We don't have a resolution of that. We may not have one until 2019, but we are pursuing legal remedies to the double charges that we incurred. The second unplanned item is one that just recently came to light. MWEC issued a revised budget for calendar 2018, including some additional work to be done on the Stony Brook plant in October. The financial impact of that to Danvers is about $300,000. And I just received a copy of a transmission credit that MWEC has received for excess contributions under the ISO New England Open Access Transmission Tariff. So the net effect of all of these, we've rolled them in, revised the budget projections. This is going to be a very tight year. We're going to be very close to a zero balance on the finish between our power supply revenues and our power supply costs. Nevertheless, we're watching it closely and hoping that we will be able to maintain this level of the purchase power and fuel adjustment clause into 2019. I have a preliminary budget for 2019. There are a few things that I need to discuss with Energy New England, who prepared it, but it looks like that budget will be coming in below the 2018 budget. So we're looking very good and very stable going forward. And we're trying very hard to maintain the purchase power and fuel adjustment charge where it is. David and I had a meeting on it last week, and I presented this information to David, and the decision was to carry on with where we are, but watch it very carefully. So that's the purchase power and fuel adjustment charge report.
Thank you, Charlie.
Are we expecting to recover the costs related to footprint?
That is what we're pursuing as remedies with ISO New England and with FERC. It's my understanding that ISO is looking for footprint to reimburse ISO for what has been paid to footprint in terms of capacity payments during the period when footprint was not operating. If those are returned, we're going to ask for either our share of the capacity cost back, or the capacity cost be used to offset the congestion payments that we have been making. One way or the other, we're saying we were double charged and we're entitled to fair and equitable treatment under ISO's market rules. And we believe that by making a filing at FERC, this will put pressure on ISO to resolve this internally rather than go through a FERC proceeding on their market pricing structure, and why they continued to pay for a unit that was providing no online operating benefits. It was not under FERC's test used in Municipal. How that's going to play out, we don't know. But we do have FERC counsel, and Danvers is participating along with all of the other public power systems on the North Shore. And I believe that the generators that are participating in the ISO market are also looking to join this effort.
Okay, so they're gonna be held accountable.
It has legs. They're going to be held accountable. We don't know how FERC will rule. We don't know what ISO will do.
Okay, but in the meantime, it seems to me we might have to adjust our power purchase.
So Stan, I concur, Chuck said, we're running tighter than we would like to be towards the end of the year. However, in staying with the policy of the board and the division of trying to maintain purchase power costs the same, looking ahead into the budget of 2019, we see a decrease in power costs again. So if we increased the PPA right now to make an extra buffer for the end of the year, we'd be looking at then dropping it in January. So our recommendation is to see if we can ride it through to the end of the year, especially where our cash position is very good right now. And we believe there's some other revenues that if we can come in good at the end of the year. Right now, it's tighter than we'd like. However, our recommendation is let's run it flat so that we don't have to then change it again at the first of the year.
So we're gonna hold our average peak value.
We're going to hold it.
Okay, good.
We are watching it closely, and we will report back to the board every month on how we're doing.
Yeah, we have to watch, Chuck is right, we're gonna have to watch it on a monthly basis, each month, to make sure there's no other surprises that pop up.
How did we have to go to market rates during any of these heat events?
So in the heat events, we were covered for the most part, by our peaking generator contract. So we didn't get hit by the higher costs. This is, you can see this chart, which is in your, shows in July, the yellow is the market that we had to go into, which the market is well below our policy on how much we expect to be in the market.
How many peak days did we have since our last meeting, any idea?
We had 6 events that we have called for the residential class, and I believe 8 events that we have called for the generator and for the large CNI. We hit our summer peak event on August 29th. That is the ICAP peak for the summer, and our loads were well down. We managed to, we call it catch the peak, i.e. we had our programs in place, our customers responding, and our generators operating during that period.
Okay. Any questions, Bill?
It's maybe more clarification. We use the term here of the purchase power rate adjustment, and that really directly translates to the rates. So from a customer perspective, what we've said is we expect to maintain the rate that customers are charged at a level, which we've been doing. Okay, just a point of clarification for people who might not understand our lingo. Okay, thank you.
With that, I'll make a motion to accept the purchase power and fuel adjustment.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Dave, you're gonna give us a report on the energy report to the state?
Sure, so
Okay.
this is our annual report to the Commonwealth of Mass Department of Telecommunications and Energy. A copy was provided to the board for your review. Staff has worked hard putting this together. A lot of hours go into this, and I really appreciate that. Everything is in order, similar to last year. Obviously, our cash position is significantly better than last year, which is noted in this. So we believe it's a good report, and we would recommend that the board approve this and sign it today.
I'm good with that, I've already read it, I'm real good with it. This does reflect the reduction in street lighting bill, if you've seen it in there.
I went through it, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm good with that. You got any questions or anything?
No, I read through the report as well, and it looked very complete. Looks like we have a very solid business here, and I fully support it.
Okay, so we'll sign off on that.
Okay, we'd entertain a motion perhaps, Mr. Chairman?
Motion to accept the Department of Telecommunications and Energy annual report to be submitted to the Department of Public Utilities for 2017.
I'd correct that to Department of Telecommunications and Energy, and then I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all set.
Stan, when would that be released to the public?
Right now.
Excellent, I love it, I love it. David, you're on the ball.
Dave, another report on the efficiency audit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we have executed the contract with Baker Tilly for the electric efficiency audit. We had a conference call with their team and our team together. They're very enthusiastic about the project, and they also appear to have good experience with this type of thing. The questions they asked and the information that they're looking for was right on what we expected. So this is something that's in the business of Baker Tilly, so we're very pleased with the conference call. Their staff has provided us with a list of information that they wanted. I commend everyone here at the table who's worked hard to get them information about Danvers Electric in a timely manner. And now we have them scheduled to come to Danvers at the beginning of October. They're gonna be meeting with some staff to review information October 1st. And then I'm hopeful that we could schedule the next MLB meeting on October 2nd, and we could have Baker Tilly here to work with the board at that meeting. Chuck or Peter, anything else on Baker Tilly that I'm missing, or is that a pretty good summary?
I think that's great.
So, Mr. Chairman, hopefully we can, the board can have their questions, and
Yep.
they'll be here in person on the 2nd for you guys to
Okay.
meet.
Yeah, when did you have a conference with them? And
Um,
what kind of things were they asking and that type of stuff?
Oh, so obviously they want to see our, you know, some of the reports that we file publicly, they already have.
Yep.
But they wanted to see our financials, our capital plan, the budget. We get, Peter?
Debt covenants, the agreements we have, that we have to keep for the long-term debt that we have, they wanted to see that too.
Chuck?
Backup policies behind any of the financial transactions that we do, and essentially what the process is, who approves what. For example, I was asked about filing rate cases or filing tariffs, and so I outlined what the process was here. They're approved by the Light Board and then submitted. We do not have to file for approval of the adjustments we request. They're informational filings. So,
And what'd they ask you, Monk?
They were looking just more along the lines for the capital budget, stuff of that nature. What programs do we use from an operational standpoint?
Were they looking like 5 years out, or?
Yeah, they were looking at our 5-year capital improvement plan. And again, just the particular software that we use to run our operation on a day-to-day basis.
Which I would rate it with Peter is the financial software, financial software, our billing software, all of those, and how those softwares interact with our meter sense, our engineering programs, and et cetera.
Okay, and they'll be here, they're coming into town, how many of them? Is it like 3 of them, or
I think it's 4 people coming. I thought it was 3, but now it's 4, it looks like they're coming.
how long are they hanging around?
So they're scheduled for October 1st, October 2nd, and they have October 3rd as a overflow day if needed.
Okay, and I kind of envisioned them starting a little earlier and getting a final report towards like the end of the year, so we could implement anything for next year. What's that looking like, any idea?
When we met with them, they're still on schedule for report by the end of the year.
Well, okay. It took a while to get that contract with them settled. If you have a copy of it, I'd like to read a
Oh.
copy of that.
Sure.
So if you could print it out, Stephanie, because something like that I need to read with a highlighter.
Okay.
You know, I can't do that on the computer. Okay,
Could I have a copy also, Steph?
Oh, yeah, we'll send it out to everyone, Bill.
Okay.
okay. So, you don't have a problem October 2nd, do you?
No, I've already been corresponding with Stephanie, and I can attend that day.
Okay, so where are we gonna meet, here?
Yes.
Okay, is that gonna be like a regular?
We'll have a
meeting?
regular board meeting, and that'll be,
So it's gonna be posted, or?
Yep.
Oh, okay, all right. Thanks, Dave.
you're welcome.
Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda, I asked to be put on the agenda, the Code of Conduct Policy. Now, I was kind of taken back by that a little bit, and usually when something like that comes out, it's because something happened. And I don't know what might have happened, but maybe you do, Dave, and if something has happened, I want to make sure it doesn't happen on this board.
Oh, sure, I guess, there was no incident that happened that I'm aware of in the
Okay.
public works or electric that.
Well, I mean,
that-
in town,
In town, I'm not aware of any incident that happened to cause the code of ethics policy. I am aware that the town manager is working with the board of selectmen about updating all of town policies. And when he hired the new assistant town manager, one of that person's roles was to create a spreadsheet of town policies that perhaps we should have. And one of that person's tasks is to go through policies and update them. And the manager's working with her to prioritize them. Actually, us as staff members, we've been assigned to various committees for different policies. I'm on a couple of them. So there's a whole list of policies that the town manager's working to upgrade. And he's heading towards having an employee handbook. That's a big goal employees have been asking for. It came out in the surveys for the employees to have a handbook, and we're headed towards that. This is part of his updating all town policies.
okay, well, there's a couple things that, when I saw this, what came to mind was, I was aware of the previous policy, and it came in response back in 2007 as a result of some intermittent explosive behavior by a couple of selectmen. That, one was from Topsfield and one was from Peabody. The people in Danvers are very aware, and it's the first line in this thing, ladies and gentlemen always. And if you're from Danvers, you're very familiar with that. I would say, if there's anything that the public school system in Danvers brainwashes you with, it would be ladies and gentlemen always. 3 times in my adult life, this saying has come to my mind, okay? And each time that this has come to my mind, there's been an incident involving people from out of town, okay? One time was back in 1989, was the Alfred Hunter incident. He was from Ipswich, okay, and his wife was from out of town, but they lived in town. The second time was when I was on the Board of Selectmen. It was a selectman from Peabody and a selectman from Topsfield, hot-headed and a little object aggression. And the third time would have been the school teacher incident in Danvers a few years ago, okay? And again, that student was not from Danvers, okay? So 3 times in my adult life, ladies and gentlemen, it has come to my attention. And knowing how the old policy came about, it was because of an incident. And I just wanted to make sure that if there's some sort of incident for the new policy, that we, as a board, make sure that we don't repeat anything that might have been done.
Just, like I said, right now I'm not aware of it, but I can gladly ask the town manager and make sure that there wasn't an incident that caused this, and if there was,
Let us know
I'll be
what it
glad
is
to
so we
report
don't
back
do
to
it.
the board so you guys know what pitfall to avoid.
Perfect. That's what I wanted. Okay, with that now, we're gonna move on to the streetlights and the report. This is basically a final report on that, if somebody could talk to it.
Sure. So actually, it was unfortunate, we had originally planned to have Stephen King, our town engineer. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. Chuck, streetlights.
You have a one-page summary in the packet that you received that basically puts the highlights, and I believe addresses the question that you raised with respect to the financials, Mr. Hayes. We did a full and comprehensive conversion of our existing streetlights from high-pressure sodium to LED. There may have been a couple of the mercury vapors still hanging around, but 99% of what we switched out was high-pressure sodium to LED. The program was underway when we became aware of a grant by the Massachusetts DOER to help fund part of that conversion as a way of jump-starting and encouraging these conversions for municipal systems. We were able to get our conversion efforts into the program and received a 50% reimbursement on the to-go portion of the project. We did incur some costs for doing that, which included a pole inspection to make sure that we were putting them on safe poles that they weren't going to fall over the next day. So in Danvers, there are just over 2,600 streetlights. There were just under 1,900 that were included in the program. So something on the order of 650 streetlights had already been changed by the time we received the grant. The total cost of the LED conversions was just over $400,000. The cost of the grant-related conversions was about $293,000. Therefore, we got $136,000 reimbursed. And you can see now, I have the savings information highlighted here. The difference in consumption between the two is about 48 watts per fixture. Annual energy savings, taking into account the change in hours of darkness from month to month, is about 503,000 kilowatt hours a year. That is spread disproportionately more in the winter than in the summer.
Sure.
Annual cost savings is, in energy avoided cost, is $68,000. Simple payback after the grant. That is the total cost of the program less the grant reimbursement plus what we spent on the audits is just under 4 years.
Great.
Okay, I have a couple questions. The total cost, $1,500,000. Now, that includes labor?
Yes.
Okay, and what did it take to change one, was it like 1 man hour per light, or with a truck and a man, or?
No, it depended, so if we had one guy doing it,
Yeah.
he could get roughly, trying to think what I had Rob doing them physically at night, obviously it depended on the elements and what jobs he was working on, whether he was on the main roads or the side roads. He would get somewhere around the realm of 10 to 15 done. But when I had a 2-man crew going on it, I could actually basically double that, because what would happen is I could have another guy restocking the truck, moving the truck along, but I had kept one guy in the bucket and just bouncing along.
Okay.
So it varied. We were averaging with a crew at least in the realm of, could be getting 25 to 30.
Okay, so does this
That's in a
cost
shift?
Yeah.
include
It's in a, shift, they could
the
really
loss
pump out a lot of them,
of
certain groups.
work that could have been done?
When we had the one man doing it, that was the night man, so he did it between calls.
Correct.
In some ways, your question is choice of productivity, what do we have been working on in lieu of? But whenever there was a service call that needed to be
Well, it's
addressed. he did it.
prioritized, I get that.
And the other thing, if he had a call on a street light because the bulb had burned out, he put a new LED fixture in.
Correct.
So that would be an offset to the labor exchange. We saved a half an hour in not replacing a burned out bulb to use an hour to put an LED street light in. I'm not trying to be difficult in the answer, but it's.
Well, what I'm getting at
Yeah,
is, I
right.
mean,
It is.
if it was 1 man hour to change one light with the truck, so a truck and a man for 1 man hour to change the light, okay, it's a man hour in the truck, that the man hour in the truck really could have been doing something else. So the cost is really doubled. That's kind of what when you think about it.
Well, I guess, Stan, when we do the annual capital plan, we lay out
Yeah,
what our man hour is gonna accomplish, how much work we're gonna get done.
yeah.
This
But
was
work that's getting done means there's work that's not getting done.
So it was, but we looked at that plan,
Yeah.
and work that didn't get done was postponed till the next year or the year after. Strategically, we were able to postpone that work and not negatively affect the system.
Okay.
This was a priority to do, to get these replaced and do that. So we'll still get that other work done, and that's why we prioritize what work we do in the capital plan to make sure stuff doesn't get done. The big thing on these is, by having LEDs, we're not gonna be out there, just like Chuck said, replacing the lamps all the time, because the LEDs have such a longer life. So that's an extra benefit that we get, that it
But
was the reason why I
I
wanted to
think
do
what
it.
what I'm kind of getting at, there's a lot of savings, there was a lot of cost to the electric division, and there was a lot of savings to the town.
Yep.
Okay, and I'm not so sure I have that broken down, but I'll go
Oh,
through this.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, but the other question I really wanted to ask too, Chuck, is we met with the dark sky people when this project first started.
That is correct.
Is there like a number that, if somebody said to me, Stan, what did how much did we reduce our sky glare by? With the new streetlights, did we reduce it by 10% or, any idea?
None at the moment, And I could think of 4 or 5 things I'd have to put in the calculus to come up with it, but I can,
Well, I
Take a
mean,
crack at-
you know, it's some.
at dark sky benefit.
Do you remember those people coming, we
Yes.
met with them?
Yeah,
And that was something that I kind of, you know, we reduced our sky glare by some, you know. And Mark, from an engineering perspective, the load. It seems to be an LED load is less inductive than the auto transformer loads. Like with the high pressure sodium, is there, you know, did we reduce our, do we come up with a better power factor for our street lighting by a certain percentage, or?
You know, honestly, it really wasn't a concerning factor when it came to that with regard to the LED conversion. It was more along the lines of getting better reliable fixtures, coming up with the times, and as well, you know, providing our customers with the, you know, obviously the newest technology out there, and lowering the energy costs was really what the incentives were on doing it.
Okay, and now, they've been in for like a couple of years now, are you finding any problems with any of them, failures, or?
No, actually, I haven't. I mean, I haven't seen anything. There may have been a possible couple minor photo cell issues, but other than that, everything's been really well.
we had, I believe,
Yeah.
4 that failed out of the box within the first,
But anything that's
because they
in,
were under warranty.
anything that's in the field has been pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Part of the answer, I think, to one of Bill's earlier questions, and I think kind of what you're driving at, is if you go to page 2 of the profit and loss statement, and you look at the 4th line down, streetlight expense in your operation, account 585, you will notice that in 2017, year-to-date, we spent $54,178. Year-to-date this year, we have spent $23,731 on maintenance. And some of that is offset to the capital budget. This hasn't reached a stable value, but some of it is the offset to going out and replacing burned out bulbs.
Yeah.
So that's some of what I think you're looking for. The numbers that I presented are conservative. They are the energy savings only that accrue to the town that we measure against our power supply portfolio.
Any questions, Paul?
No, I think it was a great project. I think it was well done. When I first joined the board, their replacement rate was kind of iffy that we were gonna get everything done by the end of the year, and then I think you converted to the 2-man crew operation, and that really improved the productivity and the speed of getting them done. And they were done, I think, in April or May.
Yeah, we put some
Against-
dedicated workforces on there.
Yeah.
As opposed to, as Chuck was stating earlier, that the night man, when he was on there, he was still having to deal with whatever issues
Sure.
were coming about, and then, you know, fill in the gaps with the streetlights. But when we put some dedicated workforces on there, and then we were able to march through it pretty quickly.
Yeah, that was, I think, a sound decision, really improved the process and got them in earlier, which did 2 things. It made sure we got the grant
Absolutely.
reimbursement,
Yep.
and we started getting reduced use of electricity sooner. So
Mhm.
that was a win-win on both accounts. Thanks.
Yeah, good report on that, very good. Okay, Mark, if you could give us an engineering report, what's going on?
Yeah, now with regards to, I know the project that we've been talking about recently was the Hobart Center Street upgrade. We're roughly about 80% done on the Hobart Street aspect of it. We have reconducted all the way from Pine Street all the way up to Forest. So the remaining portion is from Forest up to Center Street. We have a scheduled outage this Saturday for the school, the Highland School, so we can cut that over, and then that'll be complete. So we're moving along really well with that. With regards to the breakers, we're expecting 3 new breakers coming in a couple weeks, so that we can get those upgraded at Station 42. All the getaways have been reconductored. The only remaining getaway left is Pond Street sub, and then obviously that impacts our reliability, so we're moving along really well with all our projects up to date.
Excellent. Bill?
No questions.
Okay, thanks,
Oh,
Mark.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
One question. Oh, no, it's here. Never mind.
okay. Let's give us a quick update on the Summer Street and Maple Street project.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, we had hoped to have our town engineer, Stephen King, here to present the report. Unfortunately, a conflict came up that he had to attend. But he gave us an excellent report. Here's his project update on that, and also, more importantly, this is a blow-up of the project schedule.
No, that's the one you're looking for, Bill.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so this is in the report, this is a blow-up of it, so
okay.
we can actually read it. So work is underway, as you can see. And as a backup, I guess we should start off, this was the Maple and Summer Street intersection improvement project, which was approved by the town meeting, who approved our capital plan and asked that Danvers Electric upgrade this intersection for the town. That work includes new signals, new islands, new curbing. Actually, associated with that, we need some drainage and some utility relocation in order to get everything in. So the project is well underway. With the milestones we're looking at that are really the most important ones is getting the final paving down in October. So we want to get the curbing, sidewalks, and final paving down before the winter weather. That's what the push is on right now. So everything will be ready to go. Unfortunately, the mast arms, which are the large metal items that hang over the road that hold the signals, those will not arrive in October. Those are right now scheduled to arrive in February. So the project is planned right now to have curbing, roadway, all of those improvements done. It'll be working on a stop sign on Summer Street like it does now. And then in February, when the signal equipment or the mast arms arrive, they'll be installed right after they arrive. It's something that can be done in the winter conditions. Obviously, it can't be done during a storm, but it can be done during cold temperatures. And so we're looking to have everything wrapped up in March. And then there's some work to be done, just to find out, Stephen calls it restoration, just to wrap up the project up until April 22nd. Right now, the project is on budget. And other than the delay in getting that signal equipment here, everything is proceeding well.
So what's the issue with the signal equipment?
The signal equipment, we had to push the contractor to order it, and it's a long lead time. It's 8 to 12 weeks once he places the order.
It's not
So-
something you just buy off the shelf?
No, these mast arms and posts are designed specifically for this project. So once the contractor takes the engineer's proposed design, that has to go to the manufacturer of these. He has to do his own shop drawing and his own design. That has to get reviewed. That design goes back and forth between the design engineers and the contractor. That's been going on until they arrive at something that they know will work. Then they can get ordered. Then we have the 2 to 3 month delay on it. So we're working through that process.
Anything, Bill?
Just like to comment, I appreciate getting the schedule. This is kind of what I've been asking for. And I'm very glad to hear that you're gonna actually have all the paving done before the shutdown for the winter. That was kind of my big concern.
Sure.
And knowing that the mast arms really from the beginning were the long lead item, I'm not surprised they're late.
Yeah.
And my concern was what's gonna be the impact to the public if the project is delayed before, what we started out was hoping it would be done in December. So I think Stephen and the town has done a good job of mitigating that impact by getting all the paving done in October as planned, or per the current plan. So I think you managed the difficult situation well, you minimize the impact to the public. So from my perspective, I think it's a good job of dealing with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dave. I'm gonna ask that you now give us an update on, from a director's perspective, what's going on.
Sure, on the electric vehicles, we actually have joined with Reading Municipal Electric, and we're advertising a plug-in electric vehicle ride and drive event where the manufacturer, we bring them all in on Sunday, September 16th. That's gonna be actually held, not in Danvers, but down at Reading Municipal Light at 230 Ash Street in Reading. So they're gonna have all of the electric vehicles there. There's now an Electric Vehicle Awareness Week. And so this is in coordination with that. If people are interested in electric cars, we're also working to get the word out that through the City of Beverly Energy Efficiency Committee and the grid, Beverly is having some electric cars in on this Saturday. And that is gonna be at the Coleman Green Energy Solar Field at the Beverly High School on September 8th from 10 to 4. So they're gonna have some electric car, and that's open to the public also. So,
And that's this Saturday?
that's this Saturday.
At what time, Frank?
That is from 10 to 4. Oh, I'm sorry, it was I'm sorry, I've got this mixed up.
Okay.
I'm sorry, they did one last Saturday. Thank you,
Okay.
Chuck. That's right. They did theirs last Saturday, had electric cars there from 10 to 4. Ours will be with Reading on Sunday, September 16th from 10 to 2, down at Reading Municipal Light. So we're doing this event with Reading. We're hopeful to have our own event like this in the spring.
What can we learn from Braintree? They've been like the test pilot for us.
So with Braintree, what we can learn is that we still need to go slowly at this. The electric vehicle chargers, the charging rebate programs, that is all changing as the programs evolve. Braintree's had to change their whole program over at least 2 times now. So we now have a company that we're working with to design a program that we can bring forward to you, to the board, which revolves what benefits can we give to our customers that want to charge their vehicles, what kind of rebates can we give. We're in the process of designing that program. One big change that's come is they're going away from smart chargers. We presented information to the board about smart chargers, and now with the technology in the vehicles, the technology in the meters, programs are getting away from smart chargers, going to regular chargers, and then looking at the meter data as far as when they actually charge their vehicle, doing that, saving a lot less cost. So that's a whole change from the previous program that Braintree was putting in. So now we're going to be looking at perhaps no smart chargers, but then helping our customers put chargers in, and then rebates if they charge at a certain time. We still want them to charge at night when the rates are low, and we need to encourage them to do that.
Can you just explain briefly the difference between a smart charger and what you're looking at
Oh,
now?
a smart charger, when you plug your vehicle in at night, it will not charge it up right then. It will wait and charge it up at a set time, which is perhaps in the middle of the night. If we give you encouragement to say, hey, let it charge at night when the rates are low, after 7 o'clock at night. Now the vehicles that are coming out, they have technology in the vehicle to do that.
Oh,
So you can tell your vehicle, don't charge yourself until after 7 o'clock at night.
so that eliminates the need to buy the smart charger.
Eliminates the need to buy the smart charger.
Okay.
So we're working through that. That is, we are working with the companies to actually pick out a charging station that we would have as our standard here in Danvers. And so we're looking, in the spring, to put our few charging stations in Danvers. As a thing that just came up yesterday, we're at the Smith School new project, and right now we're gonna be incorporating electric chargers at the new Smith School. Danvers Electric can help pay for the actual charging devices, but we'll have the project provide the utilities there so that we can have charging stations at the new school. So we're beginning our electric plug-in vehicle program. The biggest thing that'll help us is that now we've been able to post and are actively working to recruit and hire our new energy efficiency coordinator. So that's a position that we've been waiting to hire for some time. That person would actually be leading this program for us.
Okay, that's a so-called efficiency engineer?
Correct. The
Okay.
title's been changed to energy efficiency coordinator.
Okay.
All right, so what are we looking at, but when are we gonna see you, Mark, and the TM driving around in the electric car?
So when we do the rolling stock budget for capital 19, we'll talk about how to incorporate electric cars in our fleet.
Okay, I have a couple questions, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead.
At the conference, there was talk about chargers that charge over several hours for a vehicle, and the possibility of with the rapid technology improvement, the possibility of having a high voltage charger which would charge a car in, I don't know, 15 to 20 minutes, something much closer to the time it takes to stop at a gas station, fill your car. What are we looking at right now, and is this part of the thinking in the go slowly process?
That is part of the thinking in the go slowly process, because the cost of those rapid chargers is very high.
Okay.
And I think we learned at our conference, they've come down some, they're on a ramp down, but they're still very expensive to buy the rapid chargers.
Okay.
So we need to watch that, and that's going into the fact of even the chargers that we buy, that will go in front of Danvers Electric, in front of Town Hall, what level are those gonna charge at? How rapidly are they gonna be able to charge a car? We need to design that, and we're going through that process now. And then when we do our rebate program for people that wanna put chargers in, will we have a different rebate for rapid chargers versus standard? And I think we will.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I'd like to follow up with, are we far enough into the planning for this? Do we envision the public being able to stop at Town Hall and charge a vehicle, or here at the Electric Division, or at Smith School? Or is that going to be aimed more at the people who work there, so their cars are gonna be there for a while?
I believe it's gonna be a combination.
Okay,
It's the initial thought in talking to other municipal electrics, if we put in 2 charging stations at Town Hall, with the level right now, probably one of those could be an employee, and the other one hopefully would be open for someone coming to visit Town Hall.
okay,
And we try to do the same thing here. Here at Danvers Electric, if we had our electric cars, we should be able to charge them up at night when they're here.
sure.
If they're, a vehicle that's not taken home, and then we can have those open to the public during the day. So those
Okay.
are kind of a couple initial thoughts, but we need to get this all written out in the program and run it through the board and make sure we've thought this all through.
Okay, and then I guess the last question would be, where are we in the process of getting that energy efficiency coordinator job filled? We've been talking about it a long time.
Oh, so
And I know it's approved.
it's been posted and advertised.
Okay, so we have not yet gotten to the point where we're looking at resumes to.
Not yet, but
find
we're
some candidates.
close to
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Chuck, when would you estimate we'll be looking at resumes?
End of this week, beginning of next.
That's what-
It's
but what
on-
Okay.
I would expect some initial responses. It was posted in NEPA and APPA, and was it listed with Massachusetts Municipal Association?
They don't list.
Meme doesn't, I
Meme doesn't.
know. Okay,
So we're hopeful to look at the first batch of
Get
resumes
started
next week.
Soon.
Yep.
With that, when would you possibly expect somebody to be on board? Like 1st of November or so?
I'm not going to be able to do anything with the resumes until the 1st of October,
Okay.
because I'm not going to be here.
Well, that's a damn poor excuse.
I know. I'm glad to conduct them on board ship. But seriously, I think we would look at the candidates that we've got, and if we've got a reasonable one, sometime in the first 2 weeks in October, we would be able to make a selection and make an offer. And then subject to what that individual is doing now and what other commitments they have, I would say early to mid-November would be a reasonable earliest.
Yeah, earlier,
timeframe.
so it might even be into
Might even
December.
be into December.
Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to get timeframe into my mind as to when we can start moving forward on some of this stuff. And I know we've been backfilling using other people, but, having a dedicated resource here, I think, is important for the times. Thank you.
we're continuing on our program addressing the issue that we had with the Elster meters. So that is continuing, we're making progress on that. From the conference, there was a lot of discussion at the conference about the use of peaking generators like we use, and also the concept of battery storage, two things that we need to put into the future plan of Danvers Electric. The guiding principle that came up is that technology is changing very rapidly. The energy markets are changing very rapidly. And projects that are being designed and implemented now are modular projects with a short lead time between concept, design, and implementation. The idea of doing a project that is going to be ready in 5 years and costs $5 million, right now, it's believed if you do something like that, by the time you get it done, the technology will have passed it, and you won't have hit the mark. So when we look at our battery storage and the future of our peaking generator, we'll be following this modular concept of how can we make it dynamic so that we can adapt it each year to new technology. And we are at work on an employee appreciation / safety acknowledgement meeting. Stephanie, our tentative date for that is? Well, we'll get that, well, actually, we'll get that out to the board. So we've had a committee of staff people that are working on that. They provide some excellent input, and we'll get something out on the board on that shortly.
Okay.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any other personnel moves?
We had one employee that's actually resigned from the town. It just happened yesterday. Al Cardy resigned. He was actually just transferred over from the line crew over to tech services, but now he's resigned his position with the town. So we had backfilled him on the line crew, and now we have a vacancy on tech services that we're going to have to fill. We're doing a hiring freeze request waiver right now and work on that. The line worker that we were able to backfill, we got a first-class lineman that actually came over to us from the city of Peabody. Came with excellent references, excellent work ethic, and we're very pleased to have a highly qualified line worker fill out our staff.
We stole a Peabody line worker?
Yeah.
That
Well,
would
he's
be
a
correct.
Danvers resident. He lives
He's a
in
Danvers resident.
Nate Frost. Came with a lot of credentials, a lot of experience.
Did Glenn have any issues with that?
Glenn and I spoke about it, and Glenn is okay with it.
Okay.
He understands.
Okay.
So his incentive to move was primarily that he's Danvers resident, is that correct? Or do we pay more? Or?
He just felt this was a good opportunity for him,
Okay,
and he lives here in town.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That's kind of unusual, isn't it?
Oh, it's, that line workers,
I've seen the people go to Peabody, not come from Peabody.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Well, we're glad to be able to encourage someone to come over.
Okay, good, okay. Was there anything else at the conference of note?
The other thing of note as far as power supply is that the long-range energy prices still believed are gonna stay low due to the large amount of natural gas available. And that with natural gas, with our area, we have that problem of when there's a very high demand, even though the gas is there, they can't get it to us. So we need to work on that, to make sure we don't get caught on that, which happens in a extremely hot summer or most of the time, extremely cold winter. When gas is being used for heating and electricity, they can't get enough gas into the Northeast for us. And a lot of discussions about renewables. Renewables such as wind and solar are going to continue to grow, and we need to keep working how we're going to adapt them into our program here. People are going to still do solar, and we need to fit it in. And like we've talked with the board before, a lot of utilities are ready that customers, they use solar and then they don't need Danvers Electric a lot of the time until it's cloudy, now all of a sudden they need us. Well, there's a cost of us standby rates. Nothing that customers like, however, if we're there ready to provide power while a customer's using their solar and suddenly they need us, we're gonna have to have some compensation there for the standby. Interestingly, on time of use rates, even though the purchase market is so dependent on time of use and high demands, many utilities are not as ready to issue time of rates to the customers. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that and follow the other utilities on whether or not that is really gonna
So they're
translate down
sucking it
through.
up.
Yeah, they're working on it other ways, rather than having the end user see time of use. So I'm not sure, actually, I would say it was at the conference was 50-50. 50% of the people there thought, yep, time of use is a good idea, and the other 50% thought, you know, I don't think we should pass that through to the customer. So it's gonna be interesting watching that and see what works best for Danvers.
Okay.
Bill, anything else on the conference you'd like to add?
Yeah, I was gonna do it in my comments, but this is good. I'm really grateful that I got to go, and I thank you, Stan, for nominating me for that. I really enjoyed it. I got to meet several people from different municipal utilities, collected a few business cards, and asked if it would be okay if I were to contact them and visit them in the future to see what they do. If they were, you know, pretty uniform, they said, yeah, glad to help you out.
Including Stan's friend from Maine.
Including Stan's friend from Maine.
Oh, did you meet him?
Yes.
Yes, we met Calvin.
Yeah, yeah, he's a larger-than-life personality, so it would've been hard not to meet him. And it was quite enjoyable.
Okay.
I'm with Dave. I really thought that the emphasis on the speed of technology changing is just a huge factor. I too saw the emphasis and the lessons learned from the Sacramento utility on the wisdom of getting away from large projects that take a long time and going to the small modular projects that you can conceive of quickly, plan out, execute quickly, get online quickly. You know, there's a real advantage there in that you're not having technology pass you by, and you've got a huge investment that is no longer gonna pay back. And they actually stated that they had put into place about a 10-year project at a $1.4 billion budget to bring a new hydroelectric plant online, and they wound up canceling it after some period of time. I don't recall the amount of time they had been working on it, but they had been working on it, you know, a couple of years or more, and wound up seeing the handwriting on the wall that this was not going to be effective by the time they got it online, and they canceled an enormous project like that. So that was a real lesson learned. Really opened my eyes on the speed of technology. I did enjoy the Braintree talk on electric vehicles. That was quite enlightening also. One I found that was very interesting to me was the use of social media by the Burlington, Vermont municipal utility. They had a very dynamic young woman leading up that effort there, and it was, their lesson learned was make it personal. Don't focus it so much on business statistics and business information. Introduce it, get people interested in it by making it personal. You know, how does a particular customer deal with solar? How does a particular alignment deal with the safety aspects of his job? Having customer appreciation, employee appreciation, making it personal to get people interested in looking at the site, looking at the information you want them to get, and you kind of draw them in with the personal aspect of it, and the business information comes across, because now you've got more people looking at it, because it's just interesting to see, you know, how the different issues are affecting different people, whether they be employees, officers of the utility, or customers. And one of the things they did was they did women in power, and they had articles periodically about, you know, the women leaders in their organization. I remember their chief forestry officer, because they have a large plot of land and tree farm. And for like 20 years, their leader has been a woman. And a woman forestry officer is very unusual. And she made a career of it, starting like 20 years ago. So it was just something that got a lot of clicks on their website. So I thought that was very interesting, and might be something as we look at our website that we can use. So again, I found it very interesting. I met a lot of new people, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to go. Thank you.
Okay, good. Dave, just a couple things on our peak savings program, now that we have the generator. Any numbers? When's the generator going back?
Chuck?
The generator, they called me Friday, and they're gonna schedule it out on the 17th of September. That is subject to coordinating with Mark and his team for their availability to get it in and out.
Disconnect.
So we have the generator, what, you rented the transformer too? I went up there and took a look at that.
Yeah, that came with the whole package,
It's a
correct?
package.
Oh, okay.
We had 2 generators and 1 transformer that was able to serve both of them.
Was one, where was the fuel for that? Was that in the other trailer there?
No, external
they
tanks.
had
Or was it
Exactly.
outside? Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
they had 2 of them.
So we don't have the numbers yet on, do you have a preliminary number, Chuck?
I did run some.
I haven't seen the
preliminary-
numbers yet.
Well, I ran them just because I was afraid I was gonna get asked the question this morning, so I
As
ran.
long as they're correct.
Well, I'm hoping there are, and I've left some wiggle room for some improvement. But our peak event for capacity this summer was August 29th. ISO New England hit 26,400 megawatts for the hour ending 5 p.m. So we're taking that as the summer peak, subject to adjustment. Based on that, we had the generators on, we had residential participants, we had the small C&I, and we had some impact from the large individual C&I customers who are participating. My rough numbers, I came up with about a $480,000 capacity savings for the summer. That's based on next year's capacity rate and what I estimate is the savings. Cost of the generator was about $230,000. So we have $250,000 in capacity savings for the summer. We have another $110,000 of estimated transmission peak savings for June, July, and September so far. So that brings the total savings up to about $360,000. That will be net of what our final program costs for Tangent Energy and the draws are. But I would figure that our savings were someplace between $275,000 and $300,000 for the year, net at the end of the day for the program.
Now, that's holding true to our mission statement. Very
So
good.
I apologize, David, for surprising you, but.
Not at all. I like those kind of surprises.
Yeah, those ones are nice surprises.
Yeah.
I was sure that I was gonna get hit with the questions.
Very good, thanks, Chuck. Okay, with that, Bill, any final comments?
No, yes, I would just again like to say thank you for sending me to the conference. Thanks to Dave for the project schedule on the Summer Street intersection. And thanks to all the guys I've met with recently for continuing to educate me in my relatively new role on the board. And I have come up with a couple ideas, as I mentioned to you guys, that I'd like to bring up next month that may or may not be helpful, but at least like to discuss them.
Okay,
And that's it. Thank you.
beautiful. With that, I'll take a motion, I have nothing further.
I'll
take-
move we adjourn.
Okay, and our next meeting will be October
October
2nd
2nd,
at 8:30.
8:30. Yep.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. See everybody October 2nd. Very good.